Oh, god dang it. Even I hate you for reasons that don't pertain to me being a furry. Because let's face it, I'm not a furry, Avi. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about King of the Hill. Or more specifically, Hank Hill, in the episode of King of the Hill that most people consider the worst. Now, to be fair, while a great show, probably my personal favorite at the moment, and one of the few adult cartoons kids of any age can watch, King of the Hill has a lot of episodes that many people consider bad. Yargy Blows, Goodbye Normal Jeans, Lupe's Revenge, Bobby Goes Nuts, The Honeymooners, Chasing Bobby, but for most people, there is no episode more frustrating than the Patriot Act. Think like Patriot Act but with pets. So let's discuss. Now, like I've said, with Family Guy, one criteria, although not the main criteria, I use for whether or not an episode is bad is how salvageable the episode seems to be. Like with King of the Hill, many people hate the episode Church Hopping, where Hank gets angry that a new family took his spot at church, even if he was the one who was late, and it was their first time going to said church. Nice way to welcome them. And when his pastor obviously takes the new family side, he switches churches. To me, this episode isn't as bad as it could have been. I like the plotline of Peggy working for the new reverend. Perhaps the episode could be that Peggy gets a job as a secretary there, and the Hills start attending services at the new church in order to support her. Or maybe Reverend Stroop transfers to the megachurch, I don't know. Or if we didn't get the ending of Hank threatening to empty out Reverend Stroop's pews over his own seats, most people would find it okay rather than awful. This episode, is it salvageable? Honestly, yes. And I think that's what makes it worse. It was so easily fixable. So let's discuss the worst episode of King of the Hill, the Patriot Act. Trust me, it's horrible. The episode begins as most episodes typically do. In the alleyway. What? Every show has its starting point. Family Guy has the couch, SML has the red couch, South Park has the bus stop, and King of the Hill has the alleyway. The Hills are getting ready to go on their vacation to Tennessee, which, as Peggy describes to Bobby, is super duper awesome sauce.
We drive 400 miles and catch a riverboat tour. Then it is on to Graceland to the Cowboys Titans game. And on the way back, we get to stop at Willis's famous barbecue.
It's at times like this I'm upset that the only river I live by is the Passaic. There's nothing cool about it besides it being full of needles and sewage. I presume, the city doesn't let us get close to it. And as we saw from previous episodes, Hank is a plain, frugal man, so most of their vacations involve just going to a nearby town, or somewhere down the shore. They only went to Japan that one time because the newspaper was footing the bill. Hank wanted to go to Denton.
I already picked the country for our summer vacation, Peggy. America. And the state, Texas. And the town, Denton.
But there is a downside to this. They have to leave Lady Bird at home, what with her being a dog and all. Oh, cruel, cruel fate!
The worst part of going on vacation is the look on her face when we head out the door.
Don't worry, I understand. They probably can't trust somebody like Bill or Cotton to take care of her. And as for Luann, well, last time they left Lady Bird alone with her, which was coincidentally the Japanese two-parter, she got cloned at the junior college. But I want to establish something off the bat. As you can tell, Hank likes dogs. Well, not likes, loves dogs. Not like that. Surface-wise, it's because dogs are considered manly. They're submissive to their owners, they're strong, obedient, they obey commands, but I think it's more than that. Throughout the show, Hank treats Lady Bird better than arguably Bobby and Luann, or even Peggy. Heck, there was one episode where Lady Bird's standard started giving Bobby horrible allergies. Even though in my experience, if you live by a dog and you have allergies, it's like you kind of build up that immunity. And Hank banished Bobby to a doghouse he meant for Lady Bird, which, to be fair, was meant to be a temporary arrangement until they could clean up the dander and get Bobby used to his pills. After the first thing happened, they brought him right back home. But it's still highly infamous, and I think I know why Hank is so loving with Lady Bird. She's a living thing that can't talk back to Hank in a negative way. or make him feel uncomfortable the same way most people do. So subconsciously, he can shower her with all of the emotion and affection he normally bottles up. I want to bring this point up, because it'll make sense later. Some people like cats, some people like dogs, some people have no preference. If you could guess by my avatar and my username, I prefer cats. For me, I always grew up with a lot of cats. It's because, for me, cats are less hassle to take care of, and outside of feeding them, cleaning up after them, and making sure they don't go outside, or in the fridge like Punky Brewster's BFF. Trust me, it actually happened once with cheese. And he would also jump in the bathtub with us when we were in there. They typically watch themselves. Plus, it's cool when you fall asleep and they just lay on you like a giant massage ball. I didn't really have a dog, but I knew people with dogs, and I think like one time we had a dog over the weekend we were watching for my grandpa, but it just I wasn't all that thrilled. Dogs, I don't mind most of them, but they don't really like me, and it's only in recent years that I've started to let my guard down and let them into my heart. But why is this important? Well, you'll see. Bill comes by with a new dog named Buster. You mean like that dude from Arthur? At least it's better than that Rottweiler he had, and he seems super happy and confident.
Say hello, Buster.
Pretty dog, weak handshake.
Buster, play.
Bill has joined a charity where you foster the pet of a soldier while they're on a tour of duty. Pet being the key word here. Not dog, not cat, not bird, pet. Which sounds like a nice idea for a real charity, don't get me wrong. Not every soldier has a family they can return to, unfortunately. Or maybe they do, but they're like miles away, and they can't take care of the dog, or they don't want to, or they're not equipped for it. Wait, hold on. Apparently, there are a few charities that do something like this. The first I found was the Pact Military Foster Program, which fosters pets of military members, or Dogs on Deployment, which places military dogs with families, although you do have to pay for that. Just saying, if you want to support the army or help a pet in need, you should look into these. I recommend Pact is a better one to support. And unlike those other times when Bill joins something and turns into a jerk because he lets the power go to his head, this time, he just hangs out and has fun, and it's nice to see. Buster is cool, he has a lot of cool pet friends.
One of Buster's best friends is a cat that does recon missions with a camera strapped to his back.
That is so awesome, Sauce. Bill gets attention from the ladies.
He likes pretty ladies.
Oh, well, thank you. Here's my number in case any more of his toys go missing.
Is there anything more you can ask for? And better yet, Bill doesn't ruin it by, say, insisting Buster permanently live with him or something. Which, if I had to guess, I think it's because, as we later learn, Buster's owner sorta kept in contact with Bill, and he's also kind of famous, and he also pays him back in turn with lots of cool stuff.
I just got a gift basket from my GI. Get this. He's a blue angel. He's the one that made France mad by flying under the Eiffel Tower.
Plus, there's apparently an itinerary that Bill has to follow. And also, Bill is still part of the military, so maybe there's like a penalty or something if he doesn't give the dog back. And it's in character for Bill to take his military duties seriously and not override his normal instincts. I don't know, I'm spitballing here.
Sorry, Buster does his community service at the VFW today. Some of those old guys haven't felt the tongue on their face for years.
Meow. What, did you want me to say woof? That doesn't sound as sexy. Bill says the best part about the program is that anybody can participate, be they civilian or military, which to a patriot like Hank is music to his ears.
All you have to do is take a pledge to perform all functions necessary and possible for the animal's well-being.
A pledge?
Surprised there isn't a background check or anything. I mean, there probably is, they just didn't show over time, but let's be honest, there's a lot of ways this could go badly. While Hank is having a patriotic wet dream, Peggy and Bobby are planning their vacation, and both are super excited.
Memphis to Nashville. That's a long stretch without a rest stop.
I've had 4 glasses of water today. It's been 2 hours and 9 minutes, and I feel fine.
Speaking from experience, Bobby, sometimes your adrenaline and wanting to do stuff outweighs your bladder and or the risk of UTI. Just drink some cranberry juice or lots of water, it flushes out your system. Oh, but who cares about that? Hank is excited, that's all that matters. I mean, dogs and patriotism? Did the planets align or some crap?
I don't know, Hank. Another dog?
Not just any dog, the dog of a soldier. Come on, think about our patriotic duty.
Think of our duty to the party, Peggy. It's what Big Brother wants. Sorry, I had to make a 1984 reference. The English major and me demanded it. Peggy is a little reluctant, what with them going on vacation in 2 weeks.
I promise I'll do everything. You won't even know it's here.
Keep this in mind going forward. No, so far, things don't seem to be going too badly. The setup is pretty good. However, Hank makes one mistake that will forever damn him, and by extension, this episode. Getting too excited, he asks to participate in the program before they go on vacation, not after.
Don't worry, I told the military we can't take the dog until after we get back from our trip.
Well, as long as it doesn't interfere with the vacation.
True, he does specify they can only take the dog afterwards, but no offense, Hank, the program isn't going anywhere. You could just wait a couple of weeks. Hank signs up and he learns that his new pet, which he assumes will be a dog, is named Duke. Like that dude from Barnyard?
Do you know what kind of dog you're getting?
No, but his name's Duke. You tell me a dog named Duke won't take a bullet for you.
Did you not watch that episode where Duke tried to join a glue factory? Unfortunately, a few days later, Hank learns that Duke will be coming by a little earlier than anticipated, which of course confuses the Hills and confuses me. Yes, the dude in charge of the program, I'm assuming, says...
But I thought I made it very clear that we didn't want Duke until after we got back from our vacation.
Patriotism doesn't take a vacation, sir.
What does that mean? I mean, maybe it's because sometimes soldiers get deployed earlier than usual. I mean, I would assume, I really don't know. But didn't they read his request? Aren't there other families he could go to? Just saying, what if Duke was going to get dropped off while they were on vacation and there was nobody home to accept him? What if the house wasn't ready? Remember, Bobby is allergic to dog dander, and sometimes if you're allergic to dogs, you're also allergic to cats. What if they had no supplies or way to take care of Duke? Yeah, if you didn't guess, I'm not really a big fan of how they basically force Duke onto Hank. Anyway, Duke is getting ready to be delivered, and Hank is having a field day living out this patriotic fantasy.
They'll be here any second. Is everybody ready? You're wearing that?
Dog, Hank. It's a dog.
Car!
I swear I think his pants are creaming red, white, and blue. Oh my god, what? Until he learns that, if my commentary did not give it away, Duke is a cat, not a dog. Oh, sweet face. But to be fair, I might get some flack for this. I think the idea of Hank taking care of a cat is a cool plot point for an episode. Like I said, Hank doesn't approve of cats because he views them as feminine.
Dog's the only animal that makes sense. And I suppose a cat might work. If you're a little girl or an old lady, you know, who's sick.
And he only likes very specific types of dogs, like bloodhounds, not poodles. Fun fact, one episode had Hank lose a dog dancing contest against a poodle. Maybe Hank could learn that cats and dogs have tons of similarities, or he can bond with it, and then get really disappointed when he has to give it back. For example, one reason I wasn't a big fan of dogs growing up was because I was around lots of dogs that were either way too loud or way too affectionate for my liking. As a kid, I really hated loud noises, especially fireworks, and dogs would constantly bark even if I would go to their house like every day. And as you might have guessed, that actually scared me. It wasn't until I got older that I realized I was projecting my fear of a couple of dogs onto the whole of dog kind. And I got kinda better. Now I can hold dogs, I can pet them, feed them, no problem. Like many fans agree, Hank loves Ladybird because of how quiet she is, and how she typically doesn't bark or anything unless she's threatened, which is usually never. Hank could learn that a cat is similar, and that if they're happy with you, maybe they'll sit on your lap and purr. But unfortunately, This is the later seasons where they lost that aura of subtlety. Had Hank be the voice of reason just because. And it was no longer both sides had a point, and each learned something about the other. So rather than Duke just being a normal cat who Hank treats like Cujo because he's not used to them, he's Dennis the Menace in devil cat form.
Pick him up with a napkin.
Do you want me to take him off the table or do you want me to eat my vegetables? Because I can't do both.
I'll do it. Dang it!
Which, once again, I have questions about. Did Hank just not read the fine print? It's pet program. PETPROGRAM. Not dog program. Is it like you can indicate a preference, but the program was fresh out of dogs? Or maybe Hank wrote it wrong or something? Plus, you know how I said that I didn't like how the military forced Duke onto Hank? Well, it gets worse. Hank tries to argue he's ill-equipped to take care of a cat, which honestly he is correct about.
I already have a dog, so a cat would be in danger. That would be treason, right?
At least they got that part about cats and dogs not always being enemies correct. Just saying. I was surprised when it was true. My friend owns both a cat and a dog, and they get along like siblings. But they put Hank down and force him to take care of Duke because it's his patriotic duty.
Is this your signature?
Yes.
And is this your two-page addendum stating how it would be your honor to fulfill your patriotic duty? I believe you quoted the Star-Spangled Banner in its entirety.
Now, I get it. Maybe they think he's trying to get out of his responsibilities, and this is a charity. But what if somebody really was allergic to the cat, or didn't know how to take care of it like he was? Like, what if, say, a soldier had a python, and they have little children? Are they really gonna be like, this is your signature, here? Like, what the hell? That's what makes it suck for me. But I'm just gonna get it out of the way now. They really should have taken out the vacation subplot, because in his efforts to take care of Duke, Hank ends up bankrupting himself and his vacation budget, and the Hills never end up going on their dream vacation, just to a really fun nearby barbecue restaurant. And he constantly tries to defend his decision to a justifiably pissed off Peggy and Bobby that he has to take care of Duke, all because of his commitment to the army multiple times, even if it means that he has to bankrupt himself and inconvenience them on top of that. Keep in mind, this episode, they did nothing wrong. They wanted nothing to do with the program, so they have to suffer because of that? If there was no vacation subplot, or if maybe Peggy and Bobby were just as enthralled with the program as Hank, I think the episode would perhaps be a little hated, but not as much as it is at present. But that's not the worst of it. As expected, the Hills are terrible at taking care of a cat, and Duke isn't exactly a willing house guest.
Hank, looks like the cat is out of the bag.
Which, as a cat owner, lifelong, is totally understandable. Have you ever gotten a rush of anxiety when you go on vacation, or at least somewhere new? Heck, I get horrible travel anxiety to this day, and I think that's one reason why I travel so much as an adult. Because as a kid, I didn't realize I had travel anxiety, so I would get all scared or disassociate, and now it's like I'm trying to make up for lost time. What? I thought we were talking about King of the Hill. Huh? Oh, with travel anxiety, it comes from getting out of your routine and being in a strange new environment, even if it's as simple as a resort bubble. And the same goes for animals, especially pets, who have no clue how to handle those emotions besides acting out. The only way pets know how. Duke is somewhere he doesn't understand with people who don't know or want to know how to take care of him. No wonder he's freaking out. Even though, honestly, whenever I got a new cat, they would just go hide under the bed for a week. Or they would always leave a little gift on my beanbag chair without fail, especially before they got used to the litter boxes. I went through 3 beanbag chairs in a row, and now my apartment's too small to have one. Like when Duke soils in Hank's shoes or on the carpet.
Oh my God, the cat has soiled in my shoes. Where is he?
It's likely because the Hills didn't clean the litter box thoroughly. I mean, what animal wants to step on their own leavings when they have to make? And if he can't go there, and he can't go outside, and he has no clue what a toilet is, where is he supposed to go? Or when he keeps biting Bobby...
If I stop petting him, he'll bite me. It's like having a bomb strapped to my lap. I've got to go to the bathroom. Ow!
That's a huge sign of affection. He even does it to the vet later, who treats him really well.
But truth is, sometimes cats just get old. Duke's going to die someday, but not of anything he's got right now.
Heck, maybe the shoe thing is a sign of affection itself, or hatred, since Hank is his primary caregiver, so he's trying to leave him little reminders.
I've read that dossier cover to cover, and nowhere in it does it say anything about pooping in shoes.
Hank, just be glad he never left mice or mouse tails in your shoes. Oh, I had a cat who would always do that. But something I do dislike about the episode, which really doesn't get commented on, is what it says about cats. Because they get a lot wrong about raising one just so they can say dogs are superior. For example, Hank starts bankrupting himself when he has to go buy cat food for Duke. In a pet store, he's told to buy scientific formula for $18.
What's wrong with all this other stuff?
Well, between you and me, it's practically inedible. We should really be in jail for carrying it.
All right, fine.
Hank, you went to a pet store. Of course they're gouging the price. Why didn't you go to Megalomart?
Bobby, this is a pet store, not a toy store. You know how much they mark that junk up.
Unless your cat has a condition or a preference, which I think the dossier would mention, you could probably just buy whatever. Unless your cats are picky eaters like mine. Mac and cheese only eat the shreds, and we have to split the cans up a certain way, like one cat gets extra, or they'll steal food from one another. Besides, in my experience, dry food normally isn't that expensive. And as for wet food, well, lots of stores have deals. Like the grocery store by my house had a 10 for 10 deal, which was good if you needed to buy stuff for a whole week. Or at least it was pre-2020, I don't really know now. But there's another point I want to comment on. Earlier in the episode, Hank says that he talked to the boarder where he's going to leave Ladybird when he and the family go on vacation.
You just call them back and tell them it's too early.
Don't worry, I talked to the guy who owns the farm where Ladybird is going to stay, and he says another dog would be no problem.
Later, he says that if they put up with Duke until it's time to go on vacation, they could likely just board him for a few extra bucks.
This won't be so bad. I bet while we're gone, we can board Duke for just a few more dollars a day.
Which, it's weird this plot point is never brought up again. Hank never even says something like, "Peggy, I got a call from the farm where Ladybird is going to stay, and unfortunately, they don't accept cats." And I guess maybe it's Hank's patriotism talking, but I'm surprised they never thought about leaving Duke with somebody else while they go on vacation, or try to find another boarder. I mean, they were going out of their way to make cats seem like the devil. It's only natural. However, we soon come to the part where Duke causes the family to not be able to go on vacation, or likely any vacation for the rest of their lives. Which, while I am, joking, oh, evil Duke, I don't totally blame him. He's an animal. I only blame the humans around him. Peggy suggests that maybe Duke is acting up because he's sick, which, okay, sometimes yeah, what he does could be the sign of a problem, even if they could just Google why he's doing that, and Peggy puts up the idea that they, thereby meaning Hank because this is his F-up, not hers, should take Duke to the vet.
Take him to Dr. Yandale.
I can't. If there are any problems, I'm supposed to take him to Dr. Leslie.
Why and how are they gonna know? It's just a quick visit. It's not life-threatening, and what's gonna happen if he goes to the wrong vet? And what's gonna happen if he goes to the wrong guy? Peggy protests because she realizes Dr. Leslie is more expensive, and there's no guarantee they'll at least get more bang for their buck.
We're not paying for this, are we?
It's part of my commitment. I can't ask Duke's owner to take it out of his combat pay.
Actually, that's an interesting thing to wonder. Why wouldn't the charity be helping them out? Is Hank too proud or something? Just saying, perhaps the family could have gotten reimbursed for watching Duke. That would have been a cool ending. Or maybe, yeah, they gotta pay for stuff like cat food, but if it's medical related, because obviously those would be huge expenses on a family like the Hills, then they'll help out. It just feels so weird. Imagine this. All hope seems lost. The Hills are sulking because they can't go on vacation. But then Hank goes to check the mail and he gets a check from the army. Out of the generosity for watching Duke, they paid for all his medical bills, and he can use that to pay for a vacation. And the Hills are on the riverboat like, yay, thank you, Duke, or something like that. But no. We're introduced to the vet and King of the Hill D-bag of the week, Dr. Leslie.
That's the thing about animals. They can't tell us what's wrong. And take it from me, they can't understand our jokes.
And I hate that he's voiced by Jason Batman, one of those two, since I actually like some of his work, especially based on a true story. Dr. Leslie says that Duke is healthy, but he doesn't actually answer any of Hank's questions. Hank needs Dr. Leslie to sign an army form giving Duke a clean bill of health, but he refuses, simply because he wants to run additional unnecessary tests to make sure Duke is actually healthy.
Everything hasn't been done, Mr. Hill. Sure, Duke looks normal, but I did not spend 4 extra years specializing in small animal treatment to just look.
So, if you couldn't guess by now, this is another reason people hate the episode. It's what you call a torture porn, where the character spends an episode, movie, whatever, getting tortured for no good reason despite doing nothing to deserve it. And all 3 members of the Hill family, because this was when Brittany Murphy was a superstar, so she didn't appear as much anymore. So yes, 3 members of the Hill family. Bobby does nothing wrong, he's just a kid who wants to go on vacation. Even people who hate Peggy. Just know, she did nothing wrong either. Her suggestion of going to the vet was not a bad idea. It was Hank who decided it had to be Dr. Leslie, so yes, it's his fault. And Hank, to some degree, yes, I do feel bad for him. This is one of those episodes where if they just put their foot down, everything would be over and nothing bad would happen. Like if Hank insisted, I'm not watching that cat. I told you I couldn't until I came home from vacation. Go find somebody else. Or, I'm not having you perform all of these needless tests. I don't own this cat, it's not mine. Now sign off on this form. I came to ask why he was pooping in my shoes, answer me that. But because patriotism, he doesn't. Not only does Dr. Leslie make Hank pay $57 for cat food.
You're asking me to spend $57 on a bag of cat food?
Well, we can't expect Duke to buy it on his salary.
Ugh, that's like the batch price for Shenanigans. But he also makes him pay $500 for unnecessary procedures. And because Dr. Leslie doesn't believe in payment plans, Hank is forced to pay the balance in full on the day of, using the money he was saving for vacation.
I can't afford this. I'm taking my family on vacation. I'm just doing this because I made a pledge to the army. I don't even like cats.
Blasphemy! But I understand him, so I will ignore his awful, incorrect words. And it sucks when he has to break the news to Peggy and Bobby, who were practicing for the riverboat stop, which they can no longer afford, and on top of that, likely can't even afford hotels.
I'm sorry, you guys, but Duke's vet visit just cost us the riverboat stop.
What?
This is no longer a valid triptych.
Peggy once again suggests the nuclear option. This time, they'll give Duke back to the army and back out of the program.
Hank, let's just get rid of this cat. It's ruining our lives.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's ruining your life. It's ruining your family's lives. You aren't equipped to take care of it. I'm sure Duke's owner won't care if he even knows where Duke is. There's nothing wrong with the cat. You're getting scammed. Either tell the charity off, ask for some help, tell the charity that the vet is scamming you, give the cat to one of your neighbors in the meantime, or just give the cat back. Perhaps there's another family that could take care of him. Seriously, Hank, I don't care about patriotism. It's not worth it. Heck, I bet your father, a decorated colonel and likely patriot himself, would just toss Duke on the street if he had to take care of him. Dr. Leslie calls and tells Hank that Duke is healthy, duh, but he wants to perform even more tests and a surgery on top of that. And he kinda wants to humiliate the cat, I'm guessing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. With that rolling wheel thing.
It's what we call a feline mobility cart.
Wait, the cat can't walk?
Of course he can walk. but rolling is easier.
Oh my god, poor baby.
See, my family and I were kind of going on this vacation.
Would it kill you not to go on vacation?
It would kill me. It would. I'm being honest. Really would. Peggy and Bobby go off on him, which, again, is 100% deserved.
I'm sure that cat will thank you for canceling our vacation by hissing at you.
Thanks a lot, Dad.
Look, I feel bad for Hank, but he was the one who insisted on participating when he did, and he said nothing bad would happen. And bad stuff still did happen. Realizing how much they need to pay, Peggy says they should just go to the vet for a second opinion. And with nothing left to lose, they go to Dr. Yandel, who confirms that Duke is fine. But here's where it gets interesting. Hank starts to tell the vet about Dr. Leslie, and as it turns out, Dr. Leslie is actually a pretty good vet. But because he has to afford all his new fancy machines, he starts charging people an arm and a leg, and scams them by preying on their insecurities about their pets.
So you're telling me I sacrificed my family's vacation so this guy can pay for his fancy machines?
Yes, Hank. Yes, that's what this whole episode was about. Thank you for summarizing why nobody likes this episode. And going back to salvaging, this is why it's the worst. Nobody wins. Everybody gets tortured, and it gets a lot wrong. Except for Bill. Now, there have been other episodes where the Hills get scammed by somebody. The mold episode, the halfway house, the low flush toilets. But the reason these episodes work, or perhaps the reason why they're less hated, is because they'll get a win in the end. After the mold rush, true, Hank misses out on the parade of homes, but he was able to force the scammers into touring his home instead. And kinda like here, you can kinda justify what happens as his fault. More so because if he didn't make Bobby remove his troll dolls because he was embarrassed or nudity or whatever, nothing would have happened, rather than just bad luck befalling him like it does here. It's not really a torture porn. Or with Bill's house, things just went back to normal. Or flush with power, Hank was able to get the council a taste of their own medicine. For a pretty awesome moment, and probably one of the few times that filibustering has worked. Here, they don't win. At most, they just give Duke back to his owner because he came home. So what? They never get to go on vacation, they're likely saddled with a ton of debt, and nobody wins. But we'll get there when we get there. That's why I propose they should have had the Hills get reimbursed for taking care of Duke. Like maybe Sergeant Hennessy hears about what happens and he offers them something that, hey, maybe it's not their dream vacation, but it's just as fun. Or hey, don't do the vacation idea, just have Hank take care of a cat because. Or Duke's owner comes home early, so he goes off on Dr. Leslie on Hank's behalf, like, who do you think you are? But let's see how Hank pulls one on Dr. Leslie.
But he keeps vomiting.
Cats vomit. They eat, poop, and vomit. That's what they do.
Yeah, I think they should have said why he did it beyond stuff happens, just saying. Hank goes back to Dr. Leslie and tells him he wants Duke examined with the newest and greatest technology, which doesn't cost an arm and a leg, but all of the limbs. He's gonna end up looking like Fizzarolli after he's done paying for it. Strangely, Dr. Leslie refuses.
Hey, I guess I could go out there and read it out loud.
No, hold on a minute. That machine would bankrupt me. I've got to draw the line somewhere.
Oh, it doesn't sound so good, does it, Dr. Leslie? Hank threatens to tell Dr. Leslie's patients that he's not giving them the best, and this finally gets him to relent after one of his patients overhears.
You can keep that pen. It's from some company that makes Viagra for lizards.
Works for snakes, too.
Tell that to Serpentius and his two things. But Duke's time with the Hills is finished, and they relinquish their custody of him. Later, at a barbecue restaurant, the Hills are enjoying dinner. Or lunch. What do you call if it's like lunch and dinner? Hank tries to make it up to the family by letting them order anything they want, no matter how expensive. But how much do they have for vacation?
$98. Which means, well, this is as far as we can go.
You know, just being away from Duke feels like a holiday.
No! No to the cat, no to Hank, and no to Dr. Leslie. He ruined your vacation. You should be angrier. At least Bill got a good ending, and he didn't ruin it. He got to do cool stuff.
How you getting home, Sergeant?
You ever pulled 2 Gs? Don't worry, Buster will sit on your lap.
So, what can we say about this episode? It's awful! Yeah, I know. I'll be honest, I totally forgot about this for the longest time. You ever have an episode that you just forget about from your favorite show? I just remember people hating it because Hank gets tortured. Then I rewatched it for myself and wow, it was worse than I remembered. No wonder it's hated. And worse yet, it was so easily fixable. Most bad episodes only have like 1 or 2 big problems, which again are easily fixable but still huge problems. Here it's so many. If I had to fix this episode, I would remove the vacation. That way it doesn't make what they're doing seem tragic in the end. Or I would have Peggy and Bobby be interested in taking care of Duke themselves. Then I would have Dr. Leslie just prey on Hank for being a hypochondriac, like making it seem like Duke has a really terrible, scary, terminable disease or something, when really it's just something normal for a cat. Or he manipulates his patriotism. Again, some cats act out like Duke because of stress. Maybe all he needed was time or some catnip. I guess to finish things up, what is your favorite pet? Or ideal pet? I don't really have one. Anyhow, bye!